Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Howard Kraft, and welcome to our second teacher interview. And today we have Jennifer Lambert. I'm going to give her a second to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Lambert. I teach at Cove Creek Elementary School. This coming school year, I will be teaching 4th and 5th grade science, and I will also be the AIG specialist for K-5.
Awesome. That sounds so exciting. I cannot wait. You are. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. The topic is distance learning in the era of COVID and everything that comes along with digital learning. The first question is, what are some good aspects of teaching virtually, and what are some of the disadvantages you found?
So for me personally, the good aspects of teaching virtually were that I had a small class, so I was able to build stronger relationships with my students, and I got to know them really well. Not just with students, but also with the parents. So it's easier to communicate with 5 sets of parents instead of just, or instead of 20, 25, 40, you know. That was the biggest plus for me. And learning how to use all the tech that is required with teaching virtually, and figuring out all of those little ins and outs of everything. Negatives is a long list for me. It's hard to make sure students are on task and doing what they're supposed to be doing, especially when they can just mute their camera and disappear or just log out of the meeting whenever they feel like it's too hard, or they get aggravated, or just are tired of being there. Seeing what students are doing and knowing that they understand what the content was really difficult, especially math, because I know I'm showing them how to do it, but I don't know that they're actually listening to me and doing the work. So I was talking to you about Jamboard earlier. That's where I used that to make sure that they were able to multiply or divide or add and subtract or whatever it was that we're doing, or understand the word problems. All the distractions at home that they have, like they can easily play a video game or watch a TV show while you're online, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see some of those happening if I was in their position. So you mentioned that like it helped you get more acclimated digitally to a bunch of different mediums. Did you see that as well in the kids, where they kind of blossomed in the digital?
Yeah, so like Canvas was something that they had never used before we started this past school year, and they really got to be able to where they understood how to use it. Also emailing and using Google applications, and being able to understand how to use Google Meet itself. That's the platform we use, was Google Meets. So they were able to tell me how to do certain things when I wasn't sure.
That's so cool. Okay, the second question is, what changes did you need to make on the daily, weekly, and monthly like set to accommodate for the difference?
So paying attention to and you do this in your regular classroom, it's not just online, but understanding your students, and if they are wearing down and not focusing, and knowing when to take breaks. That was a big one. We had breaks built in, but sometimes, like for instance, I was supposed to be observed at a certain time and my principal showed up late. So we were on the meeting longer than we were normally going to be. And in the middle of my lesson, I just said, we have to stop and take a break. You guys just can't keep up, you know? So knowing your students and being able to change what you're doing to help them, that not just taking breaks, but knowing that they are not able to understand what you're teaching. So especially with math, because this was the first year I taught math in 5 years, I think. So it is rough when you haven't been teaching it in a while, and then all of a sudden you're teaching it online and you're having to figure all that out. But so I would explain something and they would just say, I don't understand what you're talking about. So then instead of doing keep doing what I was doing, I would look up a Khan Academy video or another YouTube video to help teach them. I do study jams. So That's daily. That's like just knowing what your students can and cannot do. And then, so if you, being introduced to different technologies, like when to use the different applications on Google, and incorporating them monthly. So I just started using Jamboard closer to the end, and figured out what a benefit that was to me. So that was a big change. And then I had something in my brain and I forgot what it was. That happens all the time.
It's okay. But the next set of questions might spark your memory.
Yeah. I also changed up my classroom because I was still able to teach in my classroom. So I rearranged my work area to suit what I was doing. So depending on, at the beginning of the year, I had set up in a certain area in my classroom and I decided that wasn't beneficial to me. So I moved to the other side of the classroom so I could use a smart board, and I had 3 different screens going at one time with things spread out all over the place. So, yeah.
So the next question is, did digital learning expose you to any new vital resources? And did you find any resources that the students were excited about? Kind of probably like redundant for the last question we were talking about, but.
Oh, that's it. Well, so Jamboard was the biggest one for me. It really allowed me to see what students were doing because it updated immediately as they were working. I could see what they were putting in there. And then, so it has separate pages, so I could assign a page to each student. So in advance, I would go ahead and put their name on the page. And at one point, I had 6 students, so there was just 6 pages. And so I could go through and they can mark up the page and I can also mark up the page. So if they got the question right, I could go ahead and put a check mark on the question and they'd say, hey, will you check my question number 4? So I'd go over there and they would let me know that they were done with it. So that was pretty cool. Vital resources. So besides them using technology, the applications on their computer, having a document camera is very important so that if you have a piece of paper, you can just share your screen and you do the work on the piece of paper, or a worksheet that they have, you can show what they're supposed to have on the document camera. While reading, I read picture books to them using that document camera so they could see the pictures. And surprisingly enough, using my smart board really helped. So I had my laptop, I had an extra screen, and then I had my smart board. So I would have my email up on the other screen, the Google Meet on the screen, and then my document camera up on the smart board. So I could see everything that was going on. And then a timer. I used Classroom Stopwatch, I think is the name of it. And I can send it to you, Howard, later if you want the link. But I use that for our breaks, and it has you may have used it in your lesson, but it has different races. So, and you can actually assign names to the characters on there. So each student would have their own character and they would race, and it was kind of a cool little competition because they had no control over it, but they got really excited if their character won.
I think we might have used it last semester in psychology of teaching.
Did you?
I thought you used it.
Oh, did I use it with you guys?
You might have used it. It was pretty cool. It's like different races, right? Kind of.
Yeah. It's fun.
Awesome.
The kids love it.
Okay. I liked it too. The next question is, how are you being facilitated by your school system and how are they lacking?
Okay. Positives. They told us what the expectations were and that what we had to teach and what kind of flex day assignments they had to have. So we started out with 2 days in class and 3 days where they had assignments that they had to complete for the rest of the 3 days, an A-B schedule. I feel like that's about all the support I got, knowing what the expectations were. I was not really checked on to make sure I was doing okay. They didn't make sure I understood what I had to do. I didn't have much planning time. And teaching online was completely new for everybody, right? So I didn't even know how to do that, and I had to figure it out on my own. So it was a lot of me trying to figure out what I was doing on my own. And I actually told one of my administrators that came to see how things were going. I think I was checked on 2 times throughout the entire school year.
Oh,
and at the beginning of the school year, I said, I'm so excited because I am not taking any schoolwork home this year. That's the one thing that I'm not doing so that I can have a mental break when I get home. And she told me, as long as you're getting everything done. So that made me feel about this big, like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. But it really just made me mad and said, I can't take my stuff home. It's got to stay at school.
Gotta be a vision there.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds really stressful. Okay, we've come to the last question. The last question is, what were some of the challenges that parents face in the transition to online learning, and how you kind of dealt with that?
So some of the challenges were if parents were at home with their kids, is them not being involved in the classroom, because if they see their kid doing something, then they want to be there with them doing it, or help them or be involved in the class. I had several parents or grandparents pop in and give comments, and which is okay. It wasn't ever inappropriate, but it could, for other classrooms, sometimes it was inappropriate. Probably the biggest thing was parents who were working not from home. So I had a few students who were home alone, and so parents didn't know what was going on. And so I would generally just email parents and say, look, this is what I'm seeing in class today. Can you help me out? Or, whatever. But I didn't have a whole lot of challenges with parents. I think it gave us the opportunity to communicate more with each other because I was right here on the screen, so I had some parents who would pop in and say, can you hold on a minute while they're on break so I can talk to you about something I'm confused about, which they wouldn't have that opportunity in the classroom. They wouldn't know necessarily what we were learning, but a lot of parents were able to see what we were learning as we were doing it because they were right there. So I think that was good for them. And then sometimes I'm sure they didn't like what we were learning or the way I was talking or whatever, which that gives you more insight into the teacher, which could be good or bad. Too much information,
Did you find there was a lot of overstepping people's boundaries and just feeling like you were expected to kind of serve them or facilitate them in just communicating or doing extra work or tutoring, or just did you feel like you were more involved or needed to be more involved?
No, not with this group. At the very beginning of the year, I set boundaries and I told parents that these were the hours that I'm working and I will not be available. So I think I said 7 to 4. I will be available from 7 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. And I will not answer your emails after that time or before that time. So I think they understood that I was this is my job and this is the only time I'm going to do that job, and I've got to have I have to have a mental break from it. Just like you guys, you need a mental break from your students' schoolwork as well. So.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes all of our questions. Is there anything you might want to say to the future teachers that are in our class right now?
Be flexible and ready for change because it comes, whether you like it or not.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the interview and have a wonderful day.
You're welcome, Howard. It's good to see you.
Bye.